Right. Everyone, welcome to the Victory Post podcast. And today we have Amanda with us. Amanda, I want to welcome you and thank you again for coming to my podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Yep. So it's going to be interesting. So this time around, we're going to be talking about fat diet. And you know a lot about fat diet. So um, I'm ready to learn more about fat diet from you. And I know my audience is watching also want to learn more. So let's jump into it, Amanda. And before you do, with our new audiences that don't know you, can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, of course. So I've been in the fitness industry for about 5 years now. And I started whenever I first realized how amazing strength training was over cardio upon hours of cardio. So I got into personal training, I got into group exercise fitness, and I started teaching that and instructing it. I got into management with Club Fitness, which is a local gym in the St. Louis area. So I am the general manager at the St. Peter's location, and I train and develop the staff on the operational side as well as on the fitness side. So I love doing it all. I get a lot of people that come up asking me about, hey, can you set my macros? Can we talk about this? Can we talk about that? Am I allowed to eat? It's a lot of nutrition because it's not just how well does your body move in functionality, but it's also how can I have a good balanced meal and a good balanced lifestyle and have a healthy mindset with it as well. So I'm constantly 7 days a week working with people and I love it. It's amazing for me to be able to learn from others, to be able to teach others as well. And I will say the biggest question, the two biggest things that I get from people are number one, are carbs bad? And number
Yep.
two, when can I eat breakfast because I'm fasting? Those are the two biggest ones that I get all the time. But I really love this podcast, Kay, and everything that you bring to it. I think it's fantastic. It offers a lot of information, and it's doing amazing things. So, but really to jump into it, the first thing is carbs are bad. uh, I think the first fad diet that kind of came out with that was South Beach diet, possibly.
South Beach?
Um,
What is that?
South Beach.
This is my first time hearing that. What is that?
Yeah, so it was like back in the 90s. They
Okay.
had written an entire book about it. They had recipes for it, and it was basically a no carb diet.
Okay.
And so now we have keto diets. So keto is kind of like the new South Beach diet, right? So the idea for the listeners who are unsure of what keto really is or what its purpose is, um, the science behind it is to drop your caloric intake, right? The amount of calories that you're consuming throughout the day by cutting your carbs to about 50 grams or less. Well, what ends up happening is your body goes into what is called ketosis. And so your body starts to utilize the fat as energy instead of the carbs that you're consuming as energy. But it takes a good 2 to 4 weeks for that to actually happen, which means you have to be on top of your diet. You cannot have a cheat meal. You cannot splurge a little bit with some ice cream or whatever. If your family is eating spaghetti, even though it might be 100% whole grains, you can't have it unless it's within your 50 grams. And let's be real, spaghetti is a lot of carbs in one sitting.
Yep.
So that would be like your carbs for the whole day. So, a lot of times people will start to feel extra hungry because they're decreasing their calories. They'll start to get headaches because they're used to having the carbs and now they don't. Even in little things, such as like juice, potatoes, any kind of vegetable that is more starchy. So like a Brussels sprout. carrots, things like that, so that most people would think, oh, I can eat Brussels sprouts, I can eat carrots, no problem. Well, it's not allowed in the keto diet and in anything where you have to decrease your carbohydrates. Yogurt isn't allowed. Any kind of sugar, because sugar is a carb, so any kind of that, it's not allowed. So you really have to be on top of it. And I would say the most dangerous part about all of this is we get a lot of our fiber and we get a lot of our energy from carbohydrates.
Yep.
And when you start to cut out 100% whole grains, you're cutting out an entire macronutrient. And it just becomes really dangerous and unhealthy for your body and unhealthy for your hormones.
Nice. And this is very interesting. So what I'm hearing is fat diet is some sort of a very quick fix to a long term issue, which shouldn't be done, right? That's what you're saying basically.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly
All
why
right.
they're created. Yeah, to be used in a small amount of time to drop as much body fat as possible. And if that's something that you're able to do, then okay, do it. But what are you going to do after it? Because the fad diets are not sustainable.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep, I've tried some before, especially the intermittent fasting, and I quit. I quit within like 3 or 4 weeks. That wasn't me. That wasn't for me. So I just quit, And
Hmm.
again, it comes back to what very quick fix and a long term issue, right? So I was like, nah, it's not for me. So I just jumped onto something else. But yeah, can you tell more? So right now you talked about keto. What else? What else do you classify as fat diet?
Yeah, so the other one would be intermittent fasting.
Okay.
So a lot of people think that they need to fast and skip their breakfast or skip their dinner because if they eat past 7 o'clock, they're going to gain body fat, right? Then the interesting part about all of this is when you fall asleep at night, let's say 10 o'clock at night, and then you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you get ready for work, whatever, you've already fasted 8 hours because you've
Yep.
been sleeping that whole time. So the idea of fasting even longer, once you understand the science behind how your metabolism works and the importance behind food and having water and fueling your body as soon as you get up to rev up that metabolism, once you start to understand that, you can see how intermittent fasting it's pointless
It's
essentially.
pointless, yeah. Because essentially, when you even go to bed for the 8 hours plus, right, your body loses some form of calorie deficit, right? So why wake up and then still do the same thing that your body already did during your 8 hours of sleep? Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make really sense. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Continue,
Mm-hmm.
Amanda.
And that's the thing is like if you were to think of your metabolism as a slow burning fire in your fireplace, dead of winter, you let your fireplace just have some embers down at the bottom. That's kind of when we sleep. So that metabolism just starts to slow down a little bit. You're sleeping, you're resting, you're recovering. So that's going to be the most important part whenever you're strength training as well, is to making sure that you have plenty of recovery, plenty of sleep. But then whenever you wake up in the morning, you want to get the cold out of the air, right? So you
Yep.
want to start the fireplace. You want to throw another log on the fire so that there's more burning. It's the same idea. So if our metabolism is slow burning while we're sleeping, we're going to enjoy some breakfast or whatever kind of food to be able to put into your system to start up that metabolism so that it's ready to go throughout the day.
Nice, nice. So yeah, that's very good information. What about training? If you want to exercise, how do you factor that into all this fat diet stuff? That does it even matter for you to exercise if you are on like intermittent fasting or keto or whatever? Because their mentality is that they're gonna be losing a lot, right? So does it even matter to exercise? What's the effect, the pros and cons of that?
if you're not careful, it can be really dangerous.
Hmm.
I've actually had people pass out on me before because they were intermittent fasting and they chose not to eat before they came in to train. Also, I've had people have no energy. So they're trying
Yep.
to squat and they can't squat well enough. They can't actually push their body into progressive overload because
Yeah.
they don't have the energy for it.
Okay. Yeah. So, and again, I'm a bodybuilder. I've tried this sort of things, and as you said, I come to the gym. I'm very weak. I don't really want to do anything. And it's not like I don't have the mentality for it. I do have the mentality for it, but again, I'm doing the wrong thing, right? It's
Mm.
not working with my body, so I had to change. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, food is fuel for our
Oh yeah.
body, and if you're already working out 3, 4 times a week or more, you absolutely have to fuel it properly because if you don't, there's some really nasty side effects to it, including damaging your metabolism.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Do you have any examples? Have you seen clients that have gone through that? Can you give like a specific example of what your clients or what your friends or someone went through doing keto or doing intermittent fasting or doing
Mhm.
other kind of fat diet? What did they experience and how did they get out of it?
Yes, absolutely. So I had a client who was really into the carnivore diet. And the carnivore diet, if you're not sure of what that is, it is all meat. You only eat meat. That's it.
No
Nothing else,
vegetables.
nothing
No
else is allowed.
vegetables.
Yeah, nothing else is allowed.
Okay.
There's no yogurt, no dairy, no vegetables, no carbs, no grains, nothing. Nothing else is allowed. And the idea is to be able to drop down your calories as much as possible, but you can eat as much meat as you want. But the thing is with meat, it's protein, so it's going to take a lot longer for your body to be able to digest that. So you get fuller faster with it.
Okay.
All right. So I had a client who would come in. She was making some great strength gains. She was getting plenty of protein. However, her body was just simply used to the FAD diet. Once she had started on it, she was consistent. Her body got used to it after about 6 weeks, hit a plateau, and then she stopped budging. So what happened after that was we tried multiple things. With her specifically, what we tried was introducing small amounts of fruits, vegetables, and 100% whole grains into her diet for
Okay.
breakfast and lunch only because
Okay.
she didn't want to feel really bloated.
Yeah.
Her body was not used to the carbs. So if I were to give her 50% of her calorie intake as all carbohydrates, she would have felt awful. So we slowly started to introduce. At that moment, she started to drop back down a little bit. But what we had to do was we actually had to reverse diet her. So slowly introducing those calories back in to slowly rev up the metabolism. That way she wasn't damaging anything. There were a few other effects that had come
Okay.
into play, a few injuries that she had that had come into play, and simply those injuries could have been there for a while, but they also could have been from not having a balanced meal at the same time.
Okay.
We did have, with age, we did have a few issues with hormone levels. And also, the inside of her stomach did not have the proper bacteria in her intestines as well. So her body was not able to digest properly with all of that. And so that is something that she is still trying to recover from.
Okay, nice, nice. This is a very good example.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for bringing that up to our audiences. So I really learned a lot on this example. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So people are gonna argue with you. And they have their own reasons. However, let's dig a little deep into the scientific reasons. Are there scientific reasons supporting fat diets?
So really the only thing is they all claim that you're going to feel better, you're going to sleep better, you're going to decrease your bloating, you're going to drop some body weight, drop some body fat, things like that. And while some of that is probably very true, in reality, you have to, and the reason it's true is because you're taking out all of the processed foods, number one, that you normally eat.
Yep.
You're getting rid of any extra sugars that you're normally eating. You're getting rid of any types of foods. Maybe it's dairy, because a lot of us are lactose intolerant and we don't realize it. We're getting rid of these foods that are causing these issues.
Yep.
Once we're simply getting rid of those, but we're following this fad diet, thinking that this diet is the one and only thing that's actually going to do anything and benefit us. While it does have benefits, you can really only sustain that for about 4 to 6 weeks, because as soon as your body is completely depleted from what it needs, you're going to start binge eating. Grab the cookies, grab the cake, grab the ice cream, all of that. But not only that, if you have a family, and the majority of people do, your family's not going to follow this fad diet with you, more than likely, especially if you have kids, which means you're making your kids chicken nuggets and mac and cheese, and there it is tempting you sitting there. It's not sustainable. It's not something that you'll be able to do and have a family with, or have a partner with, or be able to go out with friends and go do this, that, or the other, go grab a beer with them, whatever it is. While you're on a fad diet, you're not able to do any of that. And then the question becomes, once you're done with that portion, how are you going to balance your life afterwards? Because the majority of people, I would say 99% of people, once they end their fad diet, they end up just gaining all of that weight back in the first place, because they don't know how to balance everything properly.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Yeah. And so you yourself, have you done any fat diet before?
Yes. So
All
I did
right.
not, yeah, I did not follow any of these in particular, but I did drop my carbohydrates down. So after I had my third child, I was the heaviest weight that I had been ever. And I was very self-conscious about it. This was also the time that I introduced strength training to my routine, my
Routine.
program,
Okay.
for the first time ever. I loved how it felt. So what I did was I cut all the carbs out. I dropped body fat like that. It was so fast. But the moment that any point of stress hit my life, I had 3 kids. I was married. We lived 1,000 miles away from any family whatsoever. So the moment any point of stress hit, I immediately just went to binge everything. And I wanted everything. And it was after that that I slowly started to gain it back.
Okay.
Thus, introducing the yo-yo diet, which happens a lot. A lot of people will start their diet, things are going really, really well, we're hanging on to it for a couple months, and then all of a sudden, oh, I fall off of that. I eat everything I want, and we do it again, and then we drop off, and then we do it again, and we drop off, and it continues to happen over and over and over again, and it messes with our metabolism
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah. This these are very good examples that you gave about yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
I really want us to dig deep into metabolism, fiber, and how that affects again your metabolism and everything. And we're gonna do that on a separate episode. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna do that on a separate episode. But for now, let's assume that we have only three choices of diet. Okay, let's forget the word fat diet. Let's assume we have only three. Let's assume we have the carnivore, we have the intermittent, and we have the keto. Which of these three would you suggest to your clients, assuming this is the only diet available?
Possibly, oh man, probably, oh, I hate that I'm even saying this. Probably intermittent fasting.
Okay. Because.
Yes, because even if you're fasting a little bit longer than the time that you're sleeping, you can still have your three macronutrients. You can
There you
still
go.
have your
Yep.
carbs, your protein,
Protein
and your
and your
fat.
fats. Yep. There
It's
you
just
go.
in a shorter amount of time during the day.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I was also gonna say that because you have all those three
Mhm.
nutrients within the day. So yeah. So that was that was very good. I was expecting that. Yeah. But yeah. Actually, I was expecting that you say, nah, I don't wanna dive into this.
No, it's okay.
But yeah. Um, so yeah, so in what do we need? What do we need to not even think about fat diet? What other diets are there that are better, that has a lot of pros than fat diet?
We need to think individually
Yep.
because every single person is going to have a different mindset and every single person is going to have a different approach and everybody is going to feel better with a different way. So, for example, some people will feel better with half of their calories being carb heavy. Then they're going to feel better because they train hard.
Yep.
Other people are going to feel better with higher protein, higher fats because that helps them feel not so bloated. I'm one of them. Other people are going to feel better with less protein because protein maybe doesn't digest as well with their stomach. It also depends on an activity level, but overall, we have to remember a balance, right? So I always say a fist of carbs, a thumb of fats, and a palm of protein. And if you have something like that throughout the day as your meals, you're always going to have a balanced diet, no matter what.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so this is very good topic, and I'm glad we did discuss about this because I've had a lot of friends ask me about fat diet, about intermittent fasting and all that stuff, and I'm glad that you were actually able to give a very good scientific reasons, and also draw from your own experience and from your client's experience.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so it's been an amazing podcast. But before I leave you, can you give us your top three tips and advice of of what to do if we want to do fat diets?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you have to ask yourself, is the fad diet I'm looking at, is it sustainable? What I want to do, number one. Number two, is it going to give me balance and joy with my family and with the people that are around me? And number three, why do I want to do it in the first place?
Okay. So yeah, the biggest one, why do I want to do it in the first place? Yeah. So
Yeah.
so that's very interesting. I keep on asking myself, even not for fat diet, but for everything. Why do I really want to
Mhm.
start bodybuilding? Why
Mhm.
do I really want to move to a different state? What's in for me? Is it a pro or is it a con? So you have to ask yourself these big questions. So yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you, Amanda. Continue.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say with that third one, understanding your big why. This is something that I always talk to clients about. Any person that I see that I come into contact with, what is their underlying motivation? And I don't flat out ask them, what is your underlying motivation for walking into the gym and wanting to lose 50 pounds? That comes with conversation, right? So that comes with knowing the person and understanding that individual and understanding their mindset. But apart from that, you have to understand your own
Yep.
mindset, What is your own why? Why do you want to get back into the jeans that you wore in high school? Like, what's the significance behind that anymore? And it becomes that mindset, being aware of why you want what you want. And when you figure that out, you're actually able to achieve quite a bit.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. Yep. So yeah, it's been a very interesting podcast, and I want to thank you again for coming over here. And I'll
You're
see.
welcome.
I'm sure I'm gonna see you on the next nutrition episode because you do amazing things, and I really like seeing you on my podcast. So again, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep. So, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed this section. If you have any comments, any questions, just pop into my YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, and I'm going to get back to you. So, thank you, everyone, for watching, and see you.